Hello and welcome to the Failsafe Fitness Golf Show, episode number 13. My name is Michael Joshua. I am the owner and company director of Failsafe Fitness Limited. As you know by now, last 12 months I've been doing this podcast, revamped it for 2024 to basically just include golf and some news and some stories that have interested me. Now, it's been a bit of a slow week, to be fair. The Masters is around the corner. There's a bit of a lull going on. There's a couple of things that have interested me and caught my eye, but I personally have not had a great week in terms of coaching because Mud Island here in the UK, it's still piddling down rain. I've not been out playing golf at all in 2024. I've played 9 holes, on a par 3 course. And it's now April. It's crazy. We're 4 months into the year. The golf course that I work at, I coach at, I greenkeep at, I'm the handicap secretary at, is not open because of the deluge of rain that we've had over the last sort of couple of months. So yeah, it's been a weird week, but we'll crack on with the show anyway. Some news for me to get started. Sessions are still £20 an hour, so that's personal training, nutrition and weight management, and golf performance coaching. I also do massage and kinesiology as well. Those prices do tend to vary on what type of massage or type of kinesiology that you require. Info is on the website, link is in the description down below. Please get in touch. We will sort you out for 2024, whether you want to get fitter, leaner, stronger, longer, or just feel better in your own skin. Failsafe Fitness Limited can deliver that. So that's the business bit out of the way. Let's talk about the blog. So if you do go to the link again in the description, failsafefitness.weebly.com, you can go and take a look at 5 things to ask a personal trainer before you spend your money. Now, this is something that I personally do with my clients. I ask them, is there anything they want me to ask? And some of these, at least 3 of these, are questions that I ask my clients in the reverse way. How would you like me to train? What training have you done before? Is there anything that you used to specialize when you're younger or you're specializing for now? So obviously recent months, end of last year, I had triathletes coming. They were struggling when they were coming off the bike. One was struggling when they were coming out of the water. So we worked on a couple of things and a couple of physiological things to help strengthen the glutes. One of them was struggling when they were pedaling on the bike. They found they were pedaling with their right leg. The right leg was doing the majority of the work, not equally. Even though the leg was going round, most of the pressure was going to the right leg. So the left glute would go tight because it hadn't really been used. And then obviously it just went tight on off the bike onto the run. So we worked on some glute activation and single leg and single isolation muscles exercises. And we got them to the point where everything was working again and they were very functional and they went and did some good things. And this is the thing about golf as well. It's not the case of a lot of golf professionals, PGA professionals, are taught how to kind of teach positions and trying to get you into things. We're not about that. I'm not about that. I'm about working with you. I want you to understand your body and understand what's going on in your swing. So if you're one of these people that's got quite a short backswing, very bendy arms, the bendy arms create a lot of opportunities for the club to go wrong. So you're basically flicking your lead arm and lead hand into the ball, and it could be it's a crapshoot as to where the face is pointing and whether you hit a fairway or not. But if we can get a little bit of connection between the wrists and the elbows and the shoulders and the chest, and we can get you going into a backswing fairly comfortable. It doesn't have to be far, but able to deliver the same kind of speed, but without this, 40 to 90-degree bend in that lead elbow. We then get more control of the face, and then we tend to see a pattern of ball goes left, ball goes right. So then, okay, we've got it consistently going in one direction, not consistently in two directions. So I'm working with your own person. Every person is different. So toe up, toe down, strong wrist, weak wrist, whatever it may be, they do this, that, and the other. But you might not physically be able to get yourself into some positions in a backswing or impact, physically be able to turn the shoulders or the hips, whether it be due to injury or age. So I work with your limitations. I get you to understand your golf swing. And as soon as you understand what you're doing, then you can understand what you need to do to progress. And it's the same with the personal training, same with the nutrition and weight management. We look at what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what we can do to change it. And it's a gradual changes, small steps, one thing a week, one thing every fortnight. It's a progression, and if you can create good habits and change one thing at a time rather than throwing everything out the window, I think that's a good thing. And it's the same with golf, personal training, personal fitness. You've got to start somewhere. And yeah, so that's basically what I'm about. On the blog, 5 things to ask your personal trainer before you hire them. I like to think that when I'm golf coaching, I do explain, not PGA qualified, not crapping on them. Some are very good, some are very poor. But like it says in there, qualifications, a piece of paper doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good trainer, that you're a good coach, that you're a good nutritionist, that you're good anything. Because anyone can get a piece of paper and pass a test. It's the way you approach the rest of it. And I like to say, I'm proud of the way I approach it, and I'm proud of the results I got in 2023, and I'm hoping 2024 is going to be a lot better, not just for me, but for my clients. So go take a look at the blog. It's a very interesting little article, and it'll be very useful if you are looking to hire a personal trainer, golf coach, or anyone you're going to be paying money to make anything better on your body. Some of these things will come in handy as questions to ask. And that's pretty much it in terms of, what's been going on with me and what's going on the blog. Like I say, I haven't done a lot this week. I've done a little bit of advertising, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. With the course being closed and the weather being awful, greenkeeping and everything else has gone on a bit of a back burner at the minute. But I'm prepping for the season. I'm gearing myself up for a good year as well. So it's going to be very interesting over the next few weeks. I think in the next 4 weeks, we should be fully open and I'll be fully up to speed. And clients will be back, golfers will be back. It's going to be very exciting at Himley Hall Golf Centre and at Failsafe Fitness Limited. So let's talk about the big boys this week. All those big pro golfers that are out there, where are they playing? Well, the Ladies European Tour are actually out for the Australia Women Classic, obviously in Australia. £300,000 in prize money up for grabs there. Live, I believe, are in Miami. So there's another 20, 25 million, whatever it may be, up for grabs at a live event for those guys who are playing on that invitational tour. PGA Tour, they're actually here at the Valero Texas Open in San Antonio, Texas. $9.2 million up for grabs in terms of prize fund at that event. And the Ladies LPGA Tour are at the T-Mobile Match Play. And that's in Las Vegas with a $2 million prize fund. DP World Tour, there's a little break, I think, now. No events for the DP World Tour this week, but I have got some news on the DP World Tour in a bit. We'll get into that in a little while. So that's where all the big boys are playing. We've got the, Valero Texas Open is a tournament I used to watch quite a bit. Ladies are in Oz, LPGA are in Las Vegas, and of course live in Miami. So let's talk about the letters that I've had, or emails, I say letters, electronic letters. Not snail mail, but emails that have come in. If you do want to email the show, failsafefitness@hotmail.com, and you can get in touch. Anything you want to learn, anything you want me to talk about, anything you want me to discuss, anything you hear in my news, and you want to add a comment or talk about it or counter argue what I think. And like I say, many things on this podcast are my personal opinion. I'm responsible for what I say. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But opinions are like bum holes. You wipe your own, not somebody else's. So whatever. But yeah, letters this week. The biggest one I've had recently, for the last couple of 3 weeks, is why I don't do any video. So obviously this is a podcast. It's mainly audio. They does get posted onto YouTube, but there's no video. And the case of the matter is just space. A podcast is a very nice format for me to do. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. I can get my opinion out there. I can get some information to all you folks that are listening. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share if you do like the show, because the more the people that like, and the more people that share, and the more people that subscribe, the more good things that are going to be coming your way in 2024. And hopefully in the next few weeks, there will be a nice little announcement of a bit of a giveaway if things go well. So like, subscribe, and share, because the more people that listen to the show, the bigger that giveaway is going to be. So yeah, no video. And I had a little think about it, and it's, I'm not the most attractive guy on the planet. I don't really care. There are some videos out of me on the YouTube channel at Failsafe Fitness on YouTube. Um, my background was strength and conditioning. It was weightlifting. Uh, Nobody really cares or should care what I look like. The performance and everything that I deliver and the options that I deliver, it doesn't really matter. It's the information that needs to be correct, or at least within a parameter. So, first one, I don't really care for video, and it's space saving for me, because if I do a 30 to 40 minute video, that's taking up 2 or 3 gig, especially in 4K and HDR and all the rest of it. The sound and audio take up massive amounts of files, and it's storing those files for backup processes. If you need to go back in and re-edit, it's just a pain in the bum. So audio, I find, is just easier to deal with, makes my life easier, and I can only apologize for that. Reason number two is the fact that, yes, golf is a very visual sport. And when I'm talking about some things, maybe the aid of having the visual up on screen or whatever would be better, especially if you're listening and watching on YouTube. But at the end of the day, whatever I talk about, you can go away, you can Google or you can YouTube, and I'm pretty sure every single topic in golf, putting, grip, stance, getting longer, tee height, duff shots, bladed shots, thin shots, bunker play, you name it. There's a billion YouTube videos out there going to explain, maybe not exactly the way I explain things on here, but you can go watch it and you can go and have a look at it. And I find myself, if I go down the rabbit hole of video, I could be spending dozens of hours a week editing, filming, and then, as you've seen with the few channels this year, I've seen a few channels. You can spend, say 20 hours a week filming and editing. Doesn't sound like a lot, but then you've got a 24-hour a week part-time job in terms of me greenkeeping 3 days a week. I'm trying to coach as well at the same time, which is another 20, 15, 20 hours. So I'm already up to a 60-hour week. So, and then that 60-hour week turned into 60 views. And I think everyone can appreciate that's kind of not worth it. I would rather you go and click a YouTube video from somebody else, because what I'm talking about is what they're doing. And why do I need to do another video just because it's me? It's just that simple. The second one that came across, and it's one that I've had since the start of the show. Really, it actually comes across as, why do I talk about fitness? You're only playing golf. And I've got to be honest. I sat here and went, okay, so someone at the age of 55, 60 isn't going to be in the gym using weights. They might not even be buying a kettlebell. They've had knees replaced, hip replaced, whatever. But think about this. The banded exercise, like I did last week, explaining with the band under the lead foot and turning away, is actually going to help someone who's had hip, knee surgery, shoulder surgery, whatever it may be. It's going to help them for a feel of how connected the arms need to be to the body, with that band pulling resistance, trying to pull the hand towards that foot. And it's, if you do that enough, often enough, regular enough, with enough strength, stress in terms of the band and the correct shape of band, size of band, resistance, you can build muscle memory, giving you a better takeaway, giving you a stronger takeaway. Then you go from turning 30 degrees to turning 40 degrees with your chest, giving you more length in your backswing, giving you more time and more control through the ball. So being able to increase mobility, especially in the golf swing, gives you the option, if you can rotate into your backswing longer, turn freer, and turn back freer, that's going to give you that extra 5 degrees, might pick you up 3 to 5 miles an hour club head speed, because the club's been taken away further, allowing you more time to increase the club head speed at impact. That 3 to 5 miles an hour could result in 5 to 15 yards down the fairway. You'll be hitting a club less into greens. So fitness in golf, you don't see Rory McIlroy not doing anything. I mean, I'm from the era of John Daly, of Nick Faldo. They weren't Ian Woosden. They weren't really in the gym. They were having meals, they were playing golf, they were enjoying and loving life. John Daly still is. I'm very much a John Daly kind of person. Yes, I hit a workout when I can, but I'm only really hitting a good gym workout now, probably once a week. Once the summer gets going, I won't be in the gym at all. I'll either be coaching or working or playing from about mid-April right the way through then till about end of August, beginning of September. I'll be playing probably 36 to maybe 54 holes a week, as well as coaching, as well as being a greenkeeper. So, fitness in the off season is very, very important. And just being fit in general. If you're fit enough to do your daily job and you're fit enough to go and play golf, you're probably generally okay. But if you're struggling to walk around a golf course and you're struggling to get to work and get round work, then hitting the gym, making yourself more mobile, making yourself a little bit fitter is going to make your life easier. So why fitness in golf? Because fitness is a massive part of golf. Fitness is a massive part of your life. And when fitness becomes part of your daily routine or your weekly routine, you can make some massive, just not just physically, but mentally, you can make yourself a better person. And that's why I started this podcast, why I started the business. So yeah, those are the big ones that I've come through. I just wanted to get those out there. So let's talk about news. Some little articles that caught my eye this week. This one is from bunker.com, and Anthony Kim explains why and how he disappeared from golf. I spoke about this a little while ago, but I'm going to go back into the interview that was done with. It was done on Liv's website with David Faherty. So after 12 years in the shadows, Anthony Kim, came out, laid bare the reasons behind his mysterious recluse from golf. I hadn't played. If you don't know or whatever, 2012, he shock announcement was made that he was quitting golf after having Achilles tendon surgery. He's also had some knee and other surgeries since, and obviously had to retire. And he said he opened up on some very dark moments after dealing with some addictions. I think some of those addictions are very clear when you take a look at AK's appearance now. You can see that some of those addictions are very, very clear. Um, he said he became a bit of a recluse. He didn't watch any TV. He didn't. He watched a lot of TV. He ate a lot of food, and it was because his wife wanted him to she wanted to learn how to play golf because she always heard about how good he was, and he was in talks about going back to the PGA Tour, but it wasn't until Greg Norman came along and offered him a sack full of cash to go back and play on Live. When his record has not been great in terms of playing on the tour, but he said, he has an interesting relationship with golf, and he said he didn't think he ever loved golf. It was very weird to him right now that I'm falling back in love with the game, and it's a weird spot because golf was filled with a lot of pressure and a lot of emotion for him. So he won 3 times on the PGA Tour between 2008 and 2010. And then he got a few injuries, and then 2 years later, 2012, he had to quit. But he said, he had multiple surgeries and his body just wasn't what it used to be. But he feels like he's playing better or hitting the ball longer than what he did before. But it's going to, because we can clearly see there were some addictions. There might have been a little bit of nose candy in that. Looking at him, and he had to pay 8 million of his £10 million insurance fee back, which I'm pretty sure he got covered for by the PIF and by Greg Norman. But I just don't see why AK would want to put himself out there. He's finished 50th and 48th out of a 54-man field in the 2 events he's already played. I think one. Only a matter of time. I'm telling you, those moments. I think one of his. What is going on with this? My phone's decided to play the Luana podcast. There we go. Where was I? Yes. So I just don't think his return. His return was obviously financial. It was a publicity stunt from Liv to try and get some eyeballs on their pretty pathetic viewing figures, whether they're on YouTube or on CW. The viewing figures are awful, as golf is in general. Only really the 4 majors bring in viewing figures that are worth talking about. But AK, for me, is never going to be anywhere near as good as what he was, and I've said this about Tiger Woods as well. Their days are gone. There are plenty of other players on the tours that they're on, respectively, that are going to pick up the mantle and keep moving, pushing the limits forward. And there's been talk of Anthony Kim documentary coming up. So whether that's going to be with Netflix or some other company doing that, that may be interesting to look out for. But yeah, as for his return, it was a publicity stunt from Liv to try and draw some eyeballs to the. I don't think it's worked, if I'm honest. The third thing that came along my eyesight this week was Brandel Chambly calls out four PGA Tour stars for failing Rory McIlroy. Um, at one stage, McIlroy was Liv's most vocal opponent, um, railing against the threat of Greg Norman's Saudi-backed circuit. The Northern Irishman stance has evolved ever since a shock peace agreement was done last year. Um, and I think a lot of people, myself included, felt that Rory was kind of the sacrificial lamb. Rory since resigned. He was head of the PGA Players Board. He resigned from that not long after. But the Irishman's stance has evolved. A tour policy board, sorry, not the tour, whatever. He resigned from the tour policy board. But Chambly has been a critic of Liv's surge into golf and claimed that McIlroy was not backed by other voices on the PGA Tour. And he actually mentioned the likes of Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, and Xander Schauffele. He said Rory didn't get the support that he needed from his fellow professionals, and I would go as far to say that players were selfish. But I felt like Rory was out there and was a force against the source of money for Liv and a formidable source for the PGA Tour. But he didn't get the support from any of the players. He didn't hear Jordan Spieth being vocal in supporting him. He didn't hear Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, or Xander Schauffele. None of them were as forceful as Rory in speaking out on the issue when Liv came about. Rory was taking most of the heat, if not all of the heat. And I haven't talked to Rory in a while, but I think it was, listen, I've done everything I can do, but I'm not getting any support, so I'm going to bow out. I'm done with the fight. And I think it's interesting because, there's been some rumour that since John Ram has left, the big one was Ram. Ram was kind of we lost the Open champion, we lost Dustin Johnson, and then when Ram went, we thought, okay, that's interesting. But Chambly turned around and said, like, the fields suck on Liv. So people make it out that Joaquin Niemann is one of the greatest players. So did you miss the part where he played for 3 to 4 years, never had a top 10 in a major? He was a good player and maybe on his way up, but he will never be able to prove that now he's gone to Liv. And I know Joaquin Niemann is going to be at the Masters in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting how he answers that criticism. I mean, Chambly's been around golf a long, long time. And I do think Rory was a sacrificial lamb. I think he put himself out on the limb along with a certain Jay Monahan, and they both kind of got stabbed in the back by the players and by the people, the higher ups, when talking about this deal. But is Chambly got that right? Does any of you out there think that Rory initial stance was too strong and he didn't see all the facts? I know Rory's flipped it around a little bit and said, well, if the PIF have got all this money, we'd be, as a sport, it'd be crazy not to take it and do some good with it. And I kind of agree with that. But I think Liv has got a lot of things to change before it gets anywhere near any of those players get anywhere near getting world ranking points or getting back onto the tour. The third and final news story is obviously new DP World Tour chief. So Keith Pelly has gone. He was in charge of the DP World Tour. It was the formerly European Tour. It took 9 years for him to be, and he's gone off to become the president and CEO of the Maple Leaf and Sports Entertainment in Toronto. Guy Kinnings has now been officially promoted from his role as Canadian's deputy CEO to become the new man in charge of European golf. So there's another Canadian running the European Tour. Kinnings, a former leading golf figure at IMG, moved the European Tour group back in 2018. He also served as a Ryder Cup director and becomes just the fifth person since 1972, when the European Tour was conceived, to lead the charge. Um, he said it's a very proud day for him and his family. It's a privilege to become chief executive of the European Tour group, and he does not take the responsibility lightly. He's taken the reins of the critical juncture in history as the men's elite game, and I talked about this last week, which I'll get into in a minute, where the DP Tour and the PGA Tour aim to find a resolution as ongoing talks with the Saudi PIF, who are bankrolling Live. He said, I've been working closely with players and our board and partners and our staff for the past 6 years. I feel we have a great opportunity to look forward to focus and unify the game. There has been a shift in our sport to a more global mindset, and as golf's global tour, we welcome that. We have a widely recognised international footprint stemming from 50 years of building relationships and staging tournaments all over the world. The global position of DP World Tour remains somewhat unclear in the new golf landscape, but the European Tour chairman Eric Nicol is convinced Kinnings is the right man to lead the circuit forward. It's a hugely significant day for the European Tour group, as well as on behalf of the entire board. It's delighting to welcome Guy to the role, said Nicol. Now, new European Tour boss goes, another Canadian. Old European Tour boss skips out the door. And I think when Liv kicked off, and I spoke about this last week, and I'll just mention it again. If I was taking over the DP World Tour right now, European Tour, whatever the hell you want to call it, whether it's a sponsor name or a name, whatever, it's the old European Tour, DP World Tour is its current name because it's been sponsored or owned by DP. If I had the opportunity, yes, they have contracts and fixtures in place with the PGA Tour, but the problem is it's to the detriment of the European/DP World Tour. And we can see from prize money from previous weeks that even the LPGA Tour are earning more money than the European Tour. And back in the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of the big events were in Europe on the European Tour. They weren't on the PGA Tour. So if I was given this opportunity right now, I'd be saying, okay, the deals we've got with the PGA Tour stay in place till 2030, 2035, whenever the hell they're up. But the deal they got was the top 10 players from the European Tour can go and play on the PGA Tour. So every year, the DP World Tour is getting less and less and less. There might be some players that come back, yes, because they don't make it on the PGA Tour. But every year, the top 10 in the rankings of the DP World Tour can bugger off to America. So what would you do if you had this opportunity to get some eyes back on a tour that's clearly failing? It's failing its audience, it's failing its sponsors, and it's just being sort of trodden on by the PGA Tour. And for me, that would be offer the Live Tour all their guys. I would give them, there's 20 events and half their field, so 20, I'd give their 24 of their players an opportunity to come and play on the DP World Tour. So whether that be They get 20 automatics, so top 20 in the previous event. And obviously prior winners can come back and play. So they get 24 spots at 10 DP, at 20 DP World Tour events. That gives all their guys an opportunity to come and play. So there's 48 players, 48 spot, 48 players on their, or 54 players on their events. So they get of 30. So 20 events. Each one of their players has got to play a minimum of 10 events. They can do every other, etc., etc. But there's 30 live players coming to play on the DP World Tour. So having Dustin Johnson, John Ram, Tyrrell Hatton, Ian Poulter, Lee Westwood come back to the European Tour and play as big names, famous names, Ryder Cup winning names, to get some eyes on the DP World Tour again, and gives them the opportunity to get world ranking points away from live. I think that if there's anything that someone wants to do at DP World Tour, that's what I would do. Their allegiance for the PGA Tour was probably the wrong way to go anyway. So okay, we still get your contracts to you, but we're going to do our own deal with live. That's what I would do if I were him. What do you think? And that's the news that's caught my eye this week. That's just something I want to talk about. So let's talk about fitness then. Exercise of the week. Exercise of the week for me is just going to be single leg step ups. So we know you need to drive out of that lead leg. You know you need some stability to get into your backswing on your back leg. But single leg step ups, so stepping up onto a chair, onto your couch, even if you've got stairs in your house, go 2-3 steps. 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15, 3 sets of 20. Single leg, step up with this one leg and step down with the same leg. So you do on each leg 10 reps, 15 reps, or 20 reps. That will definitely build some muscle in those legs, build you some stability as well, and it'll be a great exercise that you can do on anything, whether you're stepping up onto a chair, your couch, or a set of steps. It's easy to do. Single leg step ups, build some muscle, build some balance. Simple. And it's just going to give you a better solid base to drive out of when you're playing golf. Easy. Golf tip of the week. Now, this is something that I came across. It was another podcast that I listened to. And they were talking about 150 yards from the fairway, scratch golfer versus 15 handicapper. This data was coming from Arcos. So I'm going to let you have a guess. So we all know strokes gained. If you don't understand the strokes gains, I'll do a discussion on that maybe next week. So strokes gained, basically, in a nutshell, is every single shot you play has a value. So you're either gaining strokes on the handicaps in front of you, or you're losing strokes on the handicap you're at. So as a scratch golfer, from 150 yards in the fairway, to not lose or not gain any strokes, how close do you think the ball needs to be from the hole from 150 yards? And the same question applies to the 15 handicapper. So how close or how far away does the ball need to be from 150 yards in a fairway to the hole for you not to lose or not to gain anything on your strokes gained? So have a think about it. Scratch golfer, write your hands down, think about this. So how far away does the ball need to be for you to not gain or lose any strokes on your approach from 150 yards? You got it? Good. 15 handicapper, same thing. How close do they need to be to not gain or not lose uh, from 150 yards in the fairway? Have you written it down? Okie dokie. Right. So we'll talk about the scratch golfer first. This is from the Arcos data. From 150 yards in the fairway, a scratch golfer needs to put the ball to 48 feet. 48 feet. That's nearly 15 yards. So they just need to put the ball inside 15 yards, so 135 yards up the fairway. They need to put it within 15 yards of the hole to not lose or gain any strokes on strokes gained. And a 15 handicapper is 87 feet. So that's 30 yards. It's almost double. So if you think about this, if you are a golfer that is pretty decent, most of your par three, par fours are around 350-ish yards. You can drive your ball 200 to 220 yards, leaving you around 140 to 160 yards in the fairway. All you need to do is hit the green. If you can get the ball anywhere near that green inside 30 yards, you are going to be making massive strides towards improving your handicap. And it's that simple, isn't it? When you think about it, stupid as it is, you're in the fairway 150 yards, and I know what everyone's thinking. It's me 7-iron. It's me 7-iron. It might not be a 7-iron for you. I deal with a couple of beginners, a couple of ladies, and I'm also dealing with a 67-year-old male who's just retired, only plays golf about 4 months a year, only hits his driver 150 yards because his swing speed and his mobility isn't great. But he hits it 150 yards with his driver and it's dead straight. His biggest iron or hybrid goes 120 yards. So if he has a 350-yard hole, he's 80 yards away, but I've got him. So inside 50 yards, he's mustard. He's dropped his shots from, he was shooting high 60s for 9 holes, and now we've got him shooting around low 50s. So we took 10 to 12 strokes off his game. And I've said this year, if he's done a little bit of work over the winter with me in terms of mobility wise, hasn't started swinging a club just yet, but hopefully in the next month we're going to be out on the range doing that. And he's going to hopefully gain a bit of distance, gain some mobility, and we get the driver up to about 160, 170. If we can gain 15 yards on that driver and we can get that little 120-yard shot up to 130, he's going to be getting more pars than he is bogeys this year, and it's going to be great to see. So let's just recap that. 150 yards in the fairway, a scratch golfer needs to be 48 feet. A 15 handicapper needs to be 87 feet. So that's 15 yards for a scratch golfer and 30 yards for a 15 handicapper. So if you can just get inside 20 yards of the green from 150 yards, the majority of you golfers out there are going to be gaining strokes. You're going to be getting better. And the biggest tip to improve that is don't just think, oh, I'm 150 yards away, it's a 7-iron. I want you to start hitting 6-iron. I don't want you to try and hammer a 7-iron because you think that should go 150 yards. I want you to go into your bag, pick a 6-iron up, swing it smoother, make a better contact, and hit the damn green. I don't want you to chunk it, slice it, hook it. I want a nice smooth 6-iron Take a club longer than what you do and hit more greens. And trust me, you'll be playing better golf. And that's your tip for this week, is pick bigger clubs, swing it smoother and steadier, and just get it anywhere as close to the green as you possibly can. And like I say, from 150 yards in the fairway, if you're a 15 handicapper, you just need to get it anywhere near the inside 30 yards. You've only got to hit it 120 yards, and you're not losing any strokes compared to your compadres at that level. It's that simple. And that's pretty much it from me this week. If you've got any questions or any thoughts on Anthony Kim's return and what he's been up to, Brando Chamblay's comments on players just leaving Dory. It could be Rory in the lurch. What do you think my plan for the DP World Tour boss is outrageous? I think giving the Live guys a chance to come and play competitive golf in Europe would be good, not just for Live, but for the tour, because it's slowly dying. Do single leg step ups on a chair, on a bench, on your bed, on the sofa, on stairs in your house. 3 sets of 10, 3 sets of 15, 3 sets of 20 per leg. Build some muscle in those legs. You'll be hitting longer drives, no problem. And also don't forget, from 150 yards in the fairway, get it inside 20 yards, and you are going to be gaining strokes on everyone around you pretty much. Have a good week, everybody. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.